So, in typical conservative fashion, Ontario Premier Doug Ford has decided to create a crisis where no crisis exists. The Doug Ford government has taken it upon themselves to ban cell phones in classrooms. Now, I know of several I know several school teachers. Like I have friends and a family member who are all school teachers. None of them have ever mentioned anything to me about them having problems with cell phones in their class or cell phones being a big problem in the classroom. But Doug Ford, or at least the Ford government, the education minister, has decided to take it upon themselves to ban cell phones in the classroom. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this is something that should be decided by each individual teacher, or even if the principal of each individual school decides what policies they're going to implement in their classroom or school about cell phones. I think that's the way it should be decided. I mean, the Ford government has so much bigger and better issues to worry about. Like our healthcare system, for example. We have a shortage of nurses and doctors. Usually, if you go to an emergency room in Ontario, unless you're in critical shape, if you're not in critical life-threatening shape, you're often going to be waiting for hours to see a doctor if you go to an emergency room in Ontario. I mean, that's not always been the case. I mean, I've been to the last time I went to a hospital emergency room, I was in and out pretty quickly. But often you're waiting for hours because there's a shortage of doctors and nurses. Also, this idiot, Doug Ford, has decided to put a hiring freeze on school teachers. So if there's not a shortage of school teachers already right now, there's most certainly will be a shortage of school teachers in the years to come, thanks to idiot Doug the Thug Ford. Our roads and highways are crumbling and falling apart, and not only that, they're they're running over capacity. We don't have enough roads and enough lanes on our roads to accommodate all the traffic that we have. Our public transit systems need improvements. They need more buses on them. They need more routes. They need more hours of service. But no, Doug Ford doesn't see an issue with that either. Like there's so many areas in Ontario that need to be addressed that and Doug Ford's worrying about cell phones in classrooms. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you vote conservative, you're an idiot. You obviously do not understand anything about social service priorities or having a social safety net. The Conservatives are the worst party that anyone could ever vote for. They don't give a damn about the middle class or the poor. All they care about are the rich and the powerful. They have this sink or swim mentality that just sickens me. Hey, Ford, why don't you worry about the big issues instead of creating issues where there is no issue? Okay, like who the hell are you to stick your nose in classrooms and be pointing your fingers at students, telling them, hey, put your cell phones away. You're not to be using that in class. I think it should be up to each individual teacher or principal to decide whether or not cell phones are used in their classrooms or in their schools. Like Ford, try getting on with the real work and try being a responsible premier and doing what needs to be done. Or better yet, why don't you resign and leave the job to someone else who's actually competent? Your brother Rob Ford was an incompetent buffoon as well, too. But at least Rob Ford actually appeared to care about people and actually did his best to help people. He might have not have been knowledgeable about politics, but at least he knew how to help people. What the hell is your purpose in life, Doug Ford? You know what? You know what I like about Doug Ford? Absolutely nothing.